Hey guys, Rexter here, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing the brand new, never-before-seen FNAF Joy of Creation ignited footage that just dropped by Nixon himself on Twitter, or I guess X as it's called now. This footage reveals some insane gameplay, as well as a look at the mechanics and even a glimpse at the story to come. Towards the end of this video, we'll also be discussing some of the actual changes that will be taking place in the game, written by Nixon himself. And finally, discussing a realistic release date for the first demo and what the future holds for the game itself. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and grab a snack and a drink and let's go ahead and dive in. And what better place to start than on Nixon's profile itself, with the video titled Prototype Gameplay Footage Number 2. So now let's take a deeper dive into this footage. As the video starts, you are sitting at a desk with 3 monitors, very similar to the actual Joy of Creation level. However, now when looking into a monitor, you get a full screen image, making the game way scarier than the original. You'll also notice in the bottom left, we have a battery symbol, which Nixon himself did say is going to be an important feature in this game, not to mention the improved mechanics making the game just a little bit more difficult. Now, once exiting the camera, you will see the protagonist goes out and over to the drawer. What makes this drawer scene so cool is the fact that you can actually see your hand. And searching through each drawer, you eventually stumble across a flashlight. Now, some have argued that the hand makes the game look a little less realistic. However, Nixon himself makes a very good point. He says that he added the hand to show the obvious drawer that you're selecting, which in a very hectic game mode like this, I think is going to be very essential. Now, putting our focus back on the flashlight, you will notice that your character will take it and open up a room, which looks very similar to a closet. Now, this closet is actually going to be very essential in order to survive the night, as Nixon himself said that Freddy's mechanics have now changed, and the biggest difference being that now you need to check where exactly in the room he is and aim the flashlight properly. Now, if you'll remember, in the first game, you just had to open the door and shine the light at Freddy. But in this case, it actually looks like there is going to be potentially 2 rooms that Freddy could be residing in, unless the closet is where we will find the cupcakes. And Nixon also brings this up on Twitter, saying that there's going to be a lot more new places for the cupcakes to be. Now, of course, after checking both doors, our character looks to move over something that looks similar to a breaker box. Now, this breaker box is actually going to be a new mechanic in the game. You see, instead of Bonnie breaking your cameras, which some would say made it a lot easier in the original game, he will now drain the camera instead, forcing you to go and recharge this said box with a battery fuse. As you can see, the different cameras labeled on the box. But what makes this even more challenging is these same batteries and fuses will be used to keep the main power running as well. And if you are jump scared by Bonnie, he will drain your flashlight. Now, another thing that I wanted to bring up from this gameplay footage is the fact that we actually get a glimpse of one of the animatronics. Now, if you blinked, you probably missed it, but as we turn away from this box, you will see an animatronic was actually at the door for a short amount of time. Now, I went ahead and slowed down the footage, and this actually looks like it could be Chica here. And it would be the second animatronic that we've seen released from Nixon himself. If you remember, the first footage that he released not too long ago showed a glimpse of Bonnie. So now that we've broken down the trailer, let's actually go over some details that Nixon has provided on his Twitter account. One Twitter user by the name of Bunster Animation asked the question that we've all been thinking: is the game going to be harder or easier? To which Nixon replied, technically it's harder because it's more complicated mechanically, but I think it will be pretty easy to get the hang of. However, you will be kept busy almost all the time. Nixon also brought more details as to what we can expect from Foxy this time around. As if you can remember, in the first game, he would violently bang on doors and snarl to announce his presence. However, in Joy of Creation Ignited, Nixon explains that there will be no more obvious clues when animatronics show up. He wants the user to be able to use the cameras as a crucial part of gameplay. However, he does touch on the fact that if you forget or shine the light on Freddy too late, you will hear him leave to show that you failed. Leading me to my next question, as we all know that the Joy of Creation had some of the scariest jump scares of all time, and Nixon confirms that the Joy of Creation Ignited will actually have scarier jump scares than the original game, stating that he has a big feature planned for almost every single level. It's something called a jump scare director, which essentially allows the game to figure out what's the most effective and creative death scene to give you, and it will be completely random, which probably sparks a new question for a lot of you watching. Will this game be scarier than the older version? To which Nixon responded, absolutely. So now that we have an idea of what to expect in the next game, which is going to now be harder, scarier, and filled with even more terrifying jump scares, what exactly has changed about the story? To which this Twitter user asked, will the story still be connected to Scott and his family, or will it be different? And if so, by how much? Nixon responded that the story is completely different and is not directly connected to Scott and his family. They are no longer in the game. So now the big question is, who exactly does this story follow? And will it change the way that the levels play out? And we do get some significant details as to what the case may be, as a Twitter user by the name of Glamrock Bonnie asked, is it still the second level, or did some of the levels get rearranged for the Ignited collection? And now, it is actually going to be the first level according to Nixon. And rumor has it that the initial crib level will be changed to the third level. So now guys, with the new and improved mechanics and grainy film-like cameras, what do you think about the Joy of Creation Ignited? Me personally, I'm pretty excited to see this game come back, and I'm so glad that Scott decided to pick it up for the FNAF Fanverse initiative, as it is probably my favorite game in all of FNAF fan game history. You see, the Joy of Creation was such a significant part in FNAF history, as it was one of the first games that gave you a glimpse into the life, or at least fictional life, of Scott Cawthon. And this new point of view had never been done before. It was also one of the most horrifying yet compelling stories I've ever seen in any video game. And as each level continued to go on, the game got darker and scarier, and the way it ended was absolutely insane. But guys, that about wraps up this video here. Go ahead and do me a big favor. If you enjoyed this video, comment down below one of your favorite parts and what you're most excited for in the new game. Also, to help my goal of 150k subs, it would mean a lot to me if you can hit that subscribe button, as well as turn on those bell notifications. But without further ado guys, thank you again, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, peace out!